Welcome to Insights into Success. We're with your host Paul Dodds. We hope to educate, inspire and motivate you to achieve your own personal success. We talk to guests from all around the world from a variety of walks of life to hear the realities of their own journey to success. What challenges have they faced? How have they coped with failure? And what have been the keys or will be the keys to their own success? In our Read to Succeed interviews, we talk books that have inspired our guests, and for some, they share their secrets to marketing success. Join us as we give you insights into success. All right, welcome to Read to Succeed, where today we've got as a special guest, Adam Adams. He was very kindly on our recent podcast, Insights into Success, and I managed to twist his arm and persuade him to stay on board and share with us a book that he's read or is reading that has been really influential on him. So take it away, Adam, and let us know what that book is, what it's about, and what is it in particular that really resonates with you.
It's funny, Paul, because a lot of the times when somebody asks me for a book recommendation, I always recommend the book that I'm reading, like today.
Right.
Last year I read, I think it was 63 books in 52 weeks. I was really pushing it, and I really read I listened to quite a few books. I'm dyslexic, so that's how I read. And right. I always seem to pick whatever one that I'm reading now, but the one that I'm reading now was suggested to me by a relative that thought that I get a lot of value out of it. And it's been life-changing and just super impactful. It's called Beyond Religion, and it's by the Dalai Lama himself. Wow. Beyond Religion is interesting, and I'll try to sum up like my biggest takeaways is that he's basically stating that human nature understands the good and the bad, and it should be outside of religion because there's so many different religions. And what he's really stating is that compassion, love, and basically the platinum rule is do unto others as they would have them done unto them. Not the golden rule, do unto others how you would have, but the platinum rule. He basically is stating, the Dalai Lama is basically stating that if we care about others, that's where things should really truly stem. It shouldn't be about which religion we are in. He's even stating that war is something that would be unnecessary if human beings had this like one thing about if we all adopted true compassion versus some of what's really driving us right now. And it's making me want to be an even better person. It's making me want to focus more on giving back. It's making me want to be more selfless and more supportive for other people. And it's going to be hard to wrap it all up in like a book like we're talking about now. But I truly believe like 100% that this book would be beneficial for every human being, regardless of where we are, what we're looking to achieve. I think you're going to get something out of it. And I hope you go and check out Beyond Religion today by the Dalai Lama, because it's remarkable and life-changing.
Wow, sounds really interesting. And the thing I like about it is it's not about pushing a particular religion. It's just about being a good person. And if we all were good in our hearts and treated everyone accordingly, then that would resolve a lot of problems, and we don't need to get into conflict over one person's religion versus another's.
Yeah.
Now, question I have for you, you referred to the fact that you've read so many books in a year. So the first question I have for you on that is, how do you retain all the content? Because I'll be honest and say, like, I read a book and then a few months later and I'm only remembering little pieces of it, not as much as I'd like. So have you got a secret for it, or what happens to you after you've read a book or listened to a book?
Well, I think there's two ways that we could go about like reading books. We could read the same book dozens of times, and we're going to get something out of it each and every time. B, we could read lots of books and get lots of ideas, and I don't think that there's either one that's any better. I do not think that I retain much more information than you do, but I do know that I have at least one or two really good tangible takeaways that support my life from each book. And so I don't think that the listener should be like, oh, Adam read 63 in a year. If I'm going to be like growing as a person, I need to do that. But I will say that when you're reading, you can have a goal of retaining every single bit of information if you'd like to. That's never been my goal. My goal is, what can I pick up from this book that benefits my life or the people around me? And that's really what I'm thinking. I'm listening to the stories, and sometimes those stories help me to be able to illustrate something for my child. Like when I'm trying to share something with my kid, sometimes it's my employees that work for me. Sometimes it's myself, and sometimes it's my lover. Sometimes it's a stranger. But I will hear something or I will hear a question coming from like one of our clients or anything like that, where I can at least remember a story from one of these books and say, hey, this kind of helped me to get to identify that. And so I have that much, and it's benefited me. And so I think anybody who's listening to this podcast, I think it's just beneficial to know, spend a lot of time reading, whether it's reading the same book lots of times or reading lots of books. I think you're going to get tons of value either way. I've listened to, because I'm dyslexic, I've listened to this, in some cases, the same book 4 or 5 times. Like there's this other book called, it's by Jocko Willink. It's called, it's like Ultimate Accountability or something like that. I can't even think of the name of it right now, but it's basically, I've read that like 6 times probably, and every single time I gain more of the stories, I gain more of the tangible takeaways that benefit my life. So I don't think it's about having to retain it. I think it's good either way, to be honest.
And you've said that you prefer audiobooks. Now, do you listen to full audiobooks, or do you sometimes or largely listen to the condensed ones where they're just the highlights of a book?
3 different times I've tried listening to the condensed version, and I think that it's total BS. There's a couple reasons why. That you miss all of the stories that help you to retain the message.
Right.
With only information and no stories, it doesn't become tangible. And those are the things that need to be cut out if they're going to condense it. So all 3 times that I bought those audiobooks that were the shortened version, I actually got my money back. I actually got pissed off, and I reached out to Audible, and I said, I don't want this book. Give me an exchange. They do it with no problem usually, but the point is, I can't get any value from just the shortened version. And I think that the reason people write those is so that you can like connect with others that have read that book, and you can like be on the same level of some of the the takeaways that were supposed to come. But I personally cannot get a takeaway unless I get the story, and unless I understand like what was going on to gain that knowledge. The takeaways are pointless. They don't benefit me. So yeah, I've tried it, and now that I've had 3 strikes, they're out. I'm never going to buy one. I'm never going to listen to another like condensed version even one more time ever.
Well, it's interesting. I've never tried it. I've had someone else, another guest, who very much recommends them. So I was curious to hear your point of view.
Oh wow.
So I'll continue this poll and see what other people say. And at some point I should try it myself, just so at least I can say I've tried it and I know for myself. But it does make sense what you're saying. I think, having the full context should enable you to better grasp not only the message, but probably to retain it as well. Whereas if you're getting very much an abridged version, then possibly you're missing some of the messages, and maybe more difficult to really hold on to it. So I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Adam. I really appreciate you staying on for Read to Succeed. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.